sauerkraut, we have to remember that it's just not eating fermented foods that's important, it's eating a diverse amount. So people say, like, I eat a spoonful of sauerkraut a day. That's great, but do you eat anything else? Do you have some yogurt? Do you have miso? Do you have all these other fermented foods? So today we're gonna make 2 different types of fermented foods. I'm gonna make some homemade yogurt. I love yogurt. You could make this with coconut milk. It doesn't have to be, if you want to go dairy-free, you can go dairy-free. So we're going to start with this one first, and then I'm going to make our sauerkraut, which takes very little time. I don't meal prep very well. The way I meal prep is I make fermented foods, because if I have jars of kimchi, sauerkraut, or pickled foods, I can just grab those out, and I almost have a meal right there. So I just make my protein and I have my fermented foods. So it's an easy way to get all of that gut health. And we'll talk about probiotics and prebiotics in a few minutes, but we're just going to get started on making our yogurt right now. So I'm going to start with making our yogurt. I really love the EOC and the rice cooker are my 2 favorite, and I think most people, it's my favorite pieces. I use them multiple times a day. I probably use my EOC 3 times a day. This is probably the second one that I use the most, but this is how I make. I don't need a yogurt maker. I need my rice cooker. Or you could use an electric skillet, or you could use that nice little new one, that little tiny Prince one that I have my eye on. So, what we're doing is I'm making mine with just organic milk. And do you know the reason it's really important to have dairy that's organic? If anything else, organic foods are really important, but why would dairy be so important, do you think?
With the little bacteria in it, right? Because they injected those.
Well, here's the thing. Does everybody hear about detoxing? I know it's kind of like one of those words like that's kind of like, I think of like, and people in Ohio think when we talk about detoxing California that we're going on this crazy diet. But detoxing is something that we do every day, right? I mean, we detox by crying, by sweating, by going to the bathroom. Those are all ways to detox. But do you know the number 1 way to detox is? Anyone?
Drink milk?
Breastfeeding. That's the best way to detox. So it doesn't mean we all have to go out and do that right now. But just think about it. Just think about it. If I'm saying that, what's a cow doing every time that you're getting milk? It's lactating. So it's really important to have that organic milk, because you want it. That's if a cow is detoxing through lactating and they're eating from feed, they're not having like fresh grass that's organic, that's just what you're going to get. So that's why if I buy anything, it's going to be organic milk. I like the milk from Costco. Yeah, having non-pasteurized would be great, but I'll be honest, it's pretty expensive, and the way my family eats and drinks, it goes pretty quick. This is great if you don't use organic milk. This one is great because it never goes bad. And I don't know why organic milk stays fresh longer than like you would think when they put all those chemicals and preservatives in that it would last a lot longer. I never throw this out. So I buy 6 of them at a time, stick them in the fridge, and have them. And that way I don't have to go to the store.
And if they are about to go bad, you just make some yogurt.
That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to make my yogurt. What was that? Grass-fed milk versus. Well, if it's organic, it's going to be at least, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's some people that, there's benefits to that when it comes to digestion. Yeah. So this one just works for.
We have a question, we'll just repeat it on the line.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
Keep on going.
Okay. So here's the important things about making yogurt. The great thing about this, and I have it directions right here. They're on my Instagram page on Happy Carrot Cooking, and also on my website, Happy Carrot Cooking. So if you miss them and you don't have to write them down. The great thing about this is the digital probe is so exact. So I know when 200 degrees, it's going to be 200 degrees. So what I do is I add 6 cups of milk to here, which is actually 2 of these jars. So I just know that I stick them in there, and these are like my yogurt jars. I turn it on to 200 degrees, I shut the lid, 30 minutes, I set my timer, and then I walk away because I forget. I come back, I take the lid off, I let it sit for 35 minutes. You don't want your yogurt, your milk to go over 200 degrees because you're going to denature the milk proteins. I use a digital probe because I had a friend teach me this 15 years ago from Albania, and she would be like, oh, as long as it feels like this, it's great. It doesn't work for me. I need to know exact, because I now want this milk to go down to 112 degrees. And I know in 37 minutes with my rice cooker, because I figured it out, it goes down to about 112 degrees. So all I do is I just check just to make sure, and when it says 112 degrees, I'm going to take a little of this yogurt. Now, this one is not organic. Yes, I know.
Culture, correct?
This is my starter culture, okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you start in a cold rice cooker?
I start in a cold rice cooker. I set the timer for 200, or the temperature for 200, and then set the timer for 30 minutes. I know by then it's going to be 200, and it's not going to go over, because it's not going to go over anyway.
And then you turn it off?
And then I turn it off, I take the lid off, and I let it sit for 35 minutes, 37. And this has really just been helpful to have. I use it because I do believe if it's going to say 120, you're going to kill your yogurt. All of your probiotics are alive, right? So we want to make sure that it's staying alive. Now, I'm using just this whole milk Greek yogurt here, and for about 6 cups of yogurt, I'm going to need 6 ounces of 6 cups of milk. I need 6 ounces of yogurt. So I don't measure it. This one I don't, just because I can kind of tell what it is. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out now that it's 112, and it's okay if it dropped down to like 110 or so, as long as it's still pretty hot. And I'm just going to add just a tiny bit. I love this because this actually is really great. I mean, this is another one of those benefits. No pour, or no drip. It's great. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I just poured a little bit in here, and I have some for everybody to sample here. This is yogurt that I already made that's already cold and ready to go. And I'm just going to mix this small amount. And the reason I'm doing this is because if I mix the yogurt straight into here, it's going to get clumpy and end up like cottage cheese. So if I just do this and I make it nice and smooth, it's going to be like silky smooth when I'm done. So now I'm going to add it to here, mix it up. I have my jar. I keep 2 jars at least of these at home just for yogurt, and I don't mix them with my pickling jars because I've done that once. FYI, my yogurt smelled like pickles. You know, so I would rather just use this. So now I'm just going to go like this, pour it into my jar. Now I think you probably could do this with Salad Master cookware and just put the lid on in a small, like, 2-3 quart, as long as there's not lots of air in there. And then, I Googled Sunbeam heating pad will go to 110 degrees when it's on low. So I keep my heating pad here, and I keep a towel, and I keep this in my laundry room, believe it or not. You wrap the heating pad.
So your husband Ian didn't sleep on it earlier?
No, he did not sleep on it earlier. So I wrap it up like this, and it tastes just like this. So if everybody wants to try that.
You can keep on taking the leftover yogurt to make a new batch of yogurt over and over and over.
Well, that is one caveat that I found. When I use yogurt from the store, I can use it. I could take some of this and do the same thing. It could be my new starter, maybe 3 times. And after that, it starts to fizzle. So I end up just buying 1 thing of yogurt, and it lasts me for a couple weeks because we do go through a lot, or you could buy a small one. You can also buy tablets that you can make a starter from, and they're really strong and potent, and they'll last 6 or 7 times.
What's your recommendation on flavored yogurts?
Well, I mean, I prefer unflavored yogurts, plain yogurt, because then you could flavor it yourself, you can sweeten it yourself. So, and that's the other reason I make my own yogurt, not just because I know where the ingredients are from, I know exactly what's in it. If I want to flavor it and I want to put sugar in it, it's my control then. So I'm going to put less in there instead. So, and honestly, it's so much cheaper. I think I have the slide of the price difference and it's a huge savings, a cost savings a year to make your own yogurt.
Use the plain yogurt.
We'll make it tzatziki with it. We have yogurt basically every day, like with granola or something. We're always adding it to. I mean, our our yogurt, we just eat yogurt every single day. It's just one of my fermented foods